We are live. Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 14, and you can now present yourself, co-host.
Yep, Cole as per usual. So we were gonna do two episodes of Stargirl this stream since we didn't get to the one on the last stream, but apparently they took a break this week, so that was the one break. So yeah, we'll just have the one to do.
Yeah, we only cover 4 because 5 is not out yet. It will be out this week. I think they took a break to end that season in December. So I think this is why they took one weird week break. I hope it's the only break because, man, I enjoyed this season so much and I hate breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the topics today: She-Hulk, episode number 7, as usual. She-Hulk, She-Hulk, She-Hulk. So much to say. Oh my. And then Enemy movie, and then the Stargirl episode. So yeah, right now I am wondering if. Oh, okay, there you are, stream. Okay. Um, so let's start off with the fabulous She-Hulk, the best TV show ever made.
Yeah, so I'll say this week, I think they finally did it. I think they finally. I think this is a 9 out of 10 episode right here. This is the it just absolutely destroys every single Stargirl episode.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just like the writing in this is just insane, man. And
They
by that
hire
I
new
mean it.
people just for this one.
But by that I mean an insane asylum patient probably wrote it. You know.
Bro, bro, that episode was painful. It was so painful. But you know what? That's funny because looking back to that season, it's actually the average episode. It's not the worst. Episode 6 was clearly the worst for me. But this one was so bad, man. It was so bad. So now She-Hulk, She-Hulk, She-Hulk. Uh, would you like to open up and start this chat about this marvelous episode?
Uh, this episode once again gave me dementia. Okay. What happened in the She-Hulk episode? Okay,
She
so
goes
there
to
was
therapy as a reminder.
yes, therapy, and then there was the stuff with like Josh, Asian guy dating, where for once, somebody, just dates Jen, not She-Hulk, I guess, whatnot, I guess, and uh, help me out here.
That was painful. Now I will say this: I'm kind of glad of something. Uh, they put more emphasis on She-Hulk being some kind of issue for Jen, and here again, I'm glad it's an issue now, and I'm glad this brings some stress and pressure to Jen because she's like, I don't want to be like for She-Hulk, I want to be like for Jen, and I can be amazing as just Jen. And I think that aspect of it is the only thing I can really praise, and I can say I actually like that. But here again,
Yeah.
the execution is so bad, made by these awful writer, man. I don't know where they hire these people. They were like on Twitter. They were like, "Who's making the most noise? We will hire them."
No, it's actually they hired the blue check marks on Twitter to write this show. Uh, this
So
was just pathetic.
here again,
That's
here again, uh, so many self-insert. These characters didn't feel like characters, and there's even more man hating. And did you realize in that circle of therapy, there were only men? So they are saying only men are the issue. Only men have issue. Women they can't have issue. Jen Silver issue in like in like one therapy, you know, and some say like it's not the first one they're the first therapy they are doing, you know. So that bothers me so much. And here again, I feel like the pacing is kind of trash because the idea of this therapy there is to make Jen grow as a character to realize she is good as just being Jen. She needs to accept herself. But here's the thing, if they were a better writer, they would plant that seed early in the season and they would give moments in every week to grow that seed into something that makes sense. But these writers, they come up with this episode, they're like, this episode we will rush through things. Just like what they did in the first episode with her losing her job and then getting it back, or when she had that training montage where she is basically becoming better than Hulk in 1 week. These writers, they just don't know how to give a good pacing to what they're trying to do, and this is so awful. And I think this hurt so much this show. This bothers me so much. You have no idea. What do you think about that? Do
Mm-hmm.
you think they rush through uh, plots and they burn plots they could expand and make better with better
Uh,
writing?
I don't know. They introduce like a plot every episode, and then it like ends like halfway through one episode. It's like I don't get what they're doing here. It's like I feel like we've seen this fucking plot already with like Jen trying to like learn just the beat hurts like fucking a billion times in each different episode differently. That just is poorly executed and is over. It's just like what's the point? We'll say I kind of it's funny to see some like C-list characters in this show, from the comics, but that's about it. Yeah, the therapy scene was just fucking terrible. Oh my god, and it just shows there are things that they say, that she goes through and learned in like the previous episodes, but then the therapy scene, it's like it kind of like goes against some of the things they say she learned in the previous episodes. I'm like, did different people write this without like being in contact with each other?
They don't
I
consult
really don't
each
get
other.
it.
It's obvious they don't consult each other. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
today you will work on this episode while I work on this episode, and then we will just put the pieces together like Frankenstein. I'm like, what the? Oh my!
Oh fuck, God. It's sad when a Halloween special Werewolf by Night by like a dude he has like never directed any films before. He only has done like production design stuff. It is the most hype thing that MCU has going for them right now. Oh
It's
my god.
sad. It's so sad because they proved themselves for three phases. Now, phase four, to be honest, I think it's the worst. It's the first phase I'm not excited to go in theater to watch new movies. It's the first phase where I see bleeding issues. So I'm like, they proved themselves for three phase. What happened? Did they fired everyone to have only a woman in charge? Is it what
Uh,
happened? Did they fire all the men? So we only have
wouldn't surprise me.
these
Yeah,
agenda.
honestly, this is like the opposite is one like I don't know if you saw that film Brightburn before.
I've heard a lot
Yeah,
about
it's like
it.
it's basically like a film where yeah, it's like if Superman, as a kid growing up was evil instead, and was like a spy like James Gunn's brother, I believe, and he helped produce it. But the writing in that though, it's like they forgot to write any of the female characters well. It's like they're the most cliche female characters of all time that are just completely stupid, and then the men are just like it's like this is the first time I think I've ever in history said this about any film, but it's actual like feels like kind of toxic masculinity.
For
So it's like,
real?
and then and that yes, and now yeah, I'm
Wow.
Brightburn, and then She-Hulk is the opposite. It's like if you switch the genders around it for the right, and that's She-Hulk.
toxic femininity, and that's funny because this
Yep.
reminds me of one of the anti-woke channel podcasts. It's called Toxic Femininity, and there they have basically most of the panel is made of women, and some are on board with Disney, but most of them are angry, and even when they enjoy more than most people because they are the target audience, even there they just cannot defend what Disney is doing, whether it's Star Wars or Marvel. They just cannot defend it. So that's very funny when you look back, and I found so many reviews of people that are not really known, and they just cover She-Hulk, and the same things are coming in almost every single reviews. So this is very interesting because I
Yeah.
am working on a She-Hulk versus Jessica Jones video, and
Make sure they get like I would definitely like try to up the the quality and production of that video and get like a good thumbnail for it because I feel like it and then like put it in the right tags because that could definitely get caught up in the algorithm. I think it gets some views. That
yeah.
definitely can.
And you know what's interesting? I will use as skit, like I will clip 10 seconds of videos from here and there from different content creator, and not only anti-woke, but also people that like the show. So I don't sound like an echo chamber. I want to showcase every opinion. So I will be. I did some research. I already have many videos. I will clip small bits of it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
hey, you can quote me on this when you make the video, right? She-Hulk is like one of Jessica Jones's bad hangovers.
Okay, I will clip that. I will try to
Uh,
remember. This is the seventh podcast with Shield. I will remember for 14. Podcast 14. Perfect. I will clip that. That's funny because, as I said, I don't want to sound like an echo chamber. I want to share everyone's points of view. But here's the thing: it's so hard to find positive reviews that the negative will outweigh the positive, even if I try really hard to find people that are on board. Like right now, I have three content creators in mind that are on board with what's going on: MSK, Eric's Reloaded, and Lens Geek Drum. These are like the only three content creator out there that I'm like, I will clip some of their quotes about She-Hulk so I don't sound like an echo chamber. But then when it
well, I mean, I will say MSK. Yeah, he doesn't like the show anymore, but
oh, he
I
doesn't
mean,
like it
again, he there.
anymore? What
Oh,
happened?
I think that's what he said. I don't know. Again, he liked like the when it was starting out, but no, again, I don't think he ever thought it was like a great show or anything. And now it's kind of failed. He said they dropped the ball, but yeah, he liked it at the start for what it was, and he just it's not that he loved it. It's just he thought that there was some unwarranted hate that he could defend, but and that's
Yeah.
what he did.
Actually,
And
Chillmonger
for
is the
people like
fourth one. I didn't thought of
oh yeah,
Chillmonger, but Chillmonger is the fourth one.
Killmonger.
And that's
Oh, God.
interesting because when the season first started, I had Chillmonger on stream, and we had a chat about MCU and Marvel and stuff. And I'm thinking about having him back once the season is over, so I don't sound like an echo chamber here again because I don't know
Uh,
what he will feel. You know, maybe he liked it from start to finish. I will see in that chat. Do you know what I mean?
we'll see, but I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to Werewolf by Night and help wash down this garbage. Like, even though Rotten Tomatoes sucks, it has 100% on there right now. Everybody who saw the early preview of it said they loved it. There isn't a single bad review, and there's articles saying stuff like it contains lots of gore because no one told them not to, so they added shitloads of gore. There's no comedy in it. They said it was labeled as a sub comedy at one point, even if horror is one of its main genres, but they completely removed the comedy genre from it. So that sounds good, and yeah, they said it's a nice throwback. I mean, I hope this is good
Me
because
too. Me too. Like,
I mean that and like this. I don't know what was it called again, Secret Invasion. I don't know if you saw
yeah.
the trailer for that, but that actually looks like it has potential as well, and it has a great cast. So, and it seems like something you might like more, something a bit more grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, we speak a lot about the negative, but I will point out a positive here. This week there was less trash than usual. Like usually I
Mhm.
have like 2 or 3 lines of complaints about the episode. Right now I only have 1 line of complaints. So the episode, yes, it was bad. Yes, it was boring. Yes, it was painful, but I think I became immune to it. So
Uh,
less things to say, you know. Now,
yeah, I mean, there's less shit in this episode. Like it's impossible to get angry at these. And like we know going into it that it's gonna be shit. They already
yeah.
trashed it, but yeah, there was less shit. I wanted to ask you though, what did you think of like the actor who played that Josh character? Did you like him or no?
Oh my, that's one of my issues. Look, I don't give a crap about that actor, that character. I'm actually pissed because he is just another villain. So the first guy that is kind of nice to Jen is actually a villain, and so many people have seen it coming. Even me, I was like, that's weird, and it just happens to be like the cliffhanger, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm not invested into this crap. Like, I've seen it coming. Everyone have seen it coming. That they thought they were clever to.
Of course, they made the villain, doing all that shit in Asian. Of course, that's just typical.
Yeah, yeah, and
Oh my god.
that reminds me of something I've seen from Melanie Mac. I don't know if you know her. Melanie Mac Go Boom.
I'm not. If you typed her name out or sent her a link to her, I might recognize, but otherwise, just from like hearing the name, no.
I will send it to not the link because I won't search it right now. I will send it to you after that. Melanie Mac Go Boom. So basically, she is somewhat of an anti woke, but she is different than the others. Like, sometimes she will defend
Mhm.
stuff that they don't tend to defend. And she's very honest, and she's much more into gaming than movies. And she doesn't like hate watch anything. I think she's much more into gaming, and that's funny because lots of people on her channel asked her to watch She-Hulk, and I don't think she was seeing it before people asked her.
I think like what she didn't want to, but so many people asked her, so she
Yeah,
did, and
I think this is what happened. So she watched like all 7 episodes in like 2 days because they were like, she was like, okay, people ask me to do it, so I will do it. And she brought up something very interesting in one of her video. She was basically saying how Jen doesn't look that great. She's not that feminine. She's not that good looking as a woman. She's not really attractive, to be honest. And the villain is attractive. So this could tell in the writers' room that the writers are not trusting themselves, they are not confident within their own beauty, and they self-insert themselves into Jen, and they view beauty as something wrong. And I actually fully agree with what Melanie Max said. She placed it in better word than me because obviously French is my language, you know. She worded better than me, but do you get the idea I'm getting at?
yeah, I get the idea, but yeah, I'm looking through her channel right now. So some of the videos look spicy for sure. I'm glad she's also shitting on that Charlie's Angels dumb fucking article and the before TV stuff. Now, I mean,
I think this is
there
one
are
of her
there are
most.
other things that just sound quite. Splinter Cell's going woke. I don't
Yeah.
understand how that's possible, but okay. Yeah, some of these look confusing, typical anti-SJW stuff, but
Yeah.
others look pretty good. I'll check
But
some videos out.
yeah. Now let's speak about the positive because there's still some positive for once. I'm actually surprised. As I said, that episode is average, so it's not the best, it's not the worst. Considering She-Hulk and considering last week was rock bottom for me. I was kind of glad with what we got because that wasn't as bad, you know. When you're like, it's not as bad, you're glad, you know. You're happy of the result. So, Abomination. He's not the best character around, but the actor carried the show.
Well, I'm just like I want to throw up what they did with him, but I mean, but the actor, I mean, yeah, again, the actor makes every scene entertaining. He does a good job. Yeah, I mean, what they did with Abomination, I want to puke. Just let villains be villains, or if you're
Yeah.
gonna do this, that's fine. And you know, they haven't used Abomination, and they probably weren't ever going to again, sadly. You know, so
Yeah.
you know, so this is the one time where I'm like, okay, you know, you can use that in the show like that. That's understandable, but you know, since he's older in age and stuff, but just the execution again is poor though, so you know,
Yeah.
wasted.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
wasted character. It's so sad. Now, I will say this. Even if the action wasn't impressive, we had action, so something was going on. She had like I marked down two action pieces, so there was like two action scenes. Like I think the first one was with the car when the weirdos were like arguing or fighting and they broke Jen car, and the second one was when Jen realized one of the guys that attacked her was at the meeting. So as I said, it's not the greatest action ever, but hey, something happened. You know, when you really want to give credit, that's what you do. You're like, okay, they tried.
Yep. Well, I mean, and like when it comes to action, it's like I hate people who like say that like it needs every show or film needs action to be entertaining. Like you can get entertainment out of anything as long as you like. Let's take a look at
Arrival
Quentin
is the best example for
at
me.
that, or like
There
Quentin
was no action
Tarantino's
in
recent
Arrival,
film as well.
and this was one of my favorite movies
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
far.
but also Quentin Tarantino's recent film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 95% of that film is dialogue, and then the last 5% is the climax. Of that like one fight scene when they broke into a house. But yeah, um, the dialogue is so entertaining and skilled in the performances that it's entertaining. You don't need loud booms or explosions or
Yeah,
gunshots or
yeah,
fists. It can be entertaining as long as it's enjoyable to watch and good, well made.
yeah.
Right? So it's like so when I hear people say that, I'm just thinking like, okay, so you obviously don't branch out enough as much as like we do because you don't need it, you know. But if you watch stuff like She-Hulk, then yeah, of course you're gonna say, well, I mean, at
It's
least
not
they
the
got
best
some
action
action and
piece,
stuff.
but something
Yeah,
happened.
but yeah, but what I will say is, yeah, you know, since our standards for this show is so low, I'll give it a free pass this time. At least there was something there. Uh, oh, I mean, is there any other positives you got for this?
One last one. I had the smile when the guy took off his helmet. I didn't laugh. I had a smile. So I was seeing where they wanted to go. Like they were like, "Oh, you stinks." I was like, "Okay, that's low. That's low bar, but hey, that's She-Hulk. They tried. That's the closest
Yep,
thing to a joke."
uh-huh. You know, I'm still just having PTSD from what they did to the Wrecking Crew. But anyway, and honestly,
What would
was
be
there
your?
anything else that you wanted to point out? Oh yeah, right, the Daredevil She-Hulk team up.
Oh my.
Yeah, what the fuck?
They will keep it for the last episode. They really want people hooked, and they know they
But
will like. They will.
they saved it for the last episode so they would watch the whole show. Fuck me.
They will tease. They will tease Matt next week, and they will be like, "Watch next week because he's there the
You know,
entire
they knew
episode."
exactly what they were doing, right? They Kevin Feige. Well, it's like this show's 80% finished, and he was like, "Oh, this is fucking trash. Okay, we're gonna need to put Daredevil in, so there, and then advertise it so there's people keep watching it." That's what he
Yeah,
probably said.
and then they will say the series end only. I know, but they will forget to
Oh
tell
well.
us how bad the viewership was the rest of the time. And how the show struggled,
Yeah.
even if we were teased almost every week
Mm,
of
mm.
these
And
cameos,
no,
man.
it's not going to end on a high note because there's no reason for Daredevil to just randomly show up at the end. It's literally just forced in there. Then they could advertise it since the start. Oh my god. I mean, they don't know anything about writing. They literally let the secret wars or agent or whatever it's called. Right, you know, the new Avengers one coming up that the guy who did the Shang-Chi film is directing. Yeah, they're letting the writers of Moon Knight do it and get to reward them for their great writing. They said in Moon Knight. How much crack did you smoke, Kevin Feige, to think the writing in Moon Knight was good? All right, no,
Wow.
at the start it was kind of good, and you know,
It's
at the start it was in the first two episodes when it was actually Moon Knight. All right, it was pretty good, and there were
if
moments throughout that were all right, like you know, like the trauma
yeah.
stuff that was all right. All right,
It,
but for the most part, it was predictable. It was pretty cliche. There was too much filler. There was too many stupid side. It completely fell off. The writing was not good. It was the opposite of good. The actors carried it, not the writing. Oh my god, there were so many issues in the writing. One of the writers literally said they put in that hippo character, that Egyptian hippo character, that made no sense for her to be in it, just because you know he liked it himself. We put it in. That's the level the writers were working with. And then the climax was literally just like, okay, well, there's this big fight scene now. We don't know how to end it. Okay, let's just black out. Boom, done. Woo.
bruh, you know, he says it was good because he had seen She-Hulk at that point, or he had an idea how bad that train wreck would be. So he's like, Moon Knight is good. And when you think about it, Moon Knight was actually good in comparison.
Well, anything is in comparison.
Even Miss Marvel, bro. Even Miss Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, let's see. I mean, what's the lowest we can go here? I would say,
Halo TV show, but even there, I'd rather watch the Halo TV show than the Shield, to be honest. And they
I mean,
botched it
Halo
so
TV
much.
show or this, that's close because Halo just completely. Let's say they butchered it even more than
They
She-Hulk writers
murdered.
did, but
They murdered the IP.
that's tough. I mean, Halo though might be more watchable though because
Yeah.
just because it might be something where like you know you take some drugs and it's at least watchable to watch in the background. But She-Hulk is just like I have to strap myself to a chair, watch it. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean this episode's like around the 2.5 or 3 out of 10 this week.
That's funny. You say that. I gave a 2.5 out of 10, but then I remember episode 6 was dumpsters, truck, fire, bullshit filler.
Yeah.
But this week wasn't filler, so I was like, I will be a bit more generous because this time they were good enough to give us something that wasn't filler. So I gave an extra point. So I gave 3.5. Yeah,
Nice. I'll give it a
3.5.
3. They're very high mark we're getting here. Wow.
When I was
Oh.
saying it's the average episode, I wasn't joking. To be honest, I think the highest was like 4.5 for me. And then it's like 4, 3, 3, 2. It's the average, you know?
Yeah, you know, I already forgot like which is the best She-Hulk. I think it was like yeah the
My
I don't know I
my
forgot
favorite was
but
4. So far my favorite one was the
possibly
fourth
yeah
one.
I don't know. Again, there's tons of issues in each, but yeah, the one where like either one shows up or the episode after it first shows up is probably the best. But again, I'm still keeping to what I'm saying. Like I still think the first is just worse because there's no excuse for the first to be as bad as it was because literally they had the easiest job ever to just set up the origin and everything. That's it, and there was nothing in the episode. It was literally just like forgetting her powers and then hanging out and you know learning that like there was no effort required, and they ended up making something that was absolutely
worst thing ever and the most laughable thing of all time, an easy 1 out of 10. Like, so I still think the fucking first episode's the worst, even with that other one, which was pretty dog shit. Yeah, that's 3 out of 10. Really hitting high marks here. Good job, guys. Up
That's
the good
very
work.
high considering I gave point 0.5 last week.
Yeah,
No.
as much as I gave Love and Thunder a bunch of shit, I'll say that Christian Bale and Tessa Thompson's performances are at least better than literally anything in She-Hulk. So I'll put that film above whatever fucking She-Hulk is, but that's about it. So, yeah, they fucking ruined Tristan Bale's villain. Fuck, Jesus. Anyway,
Before we
anything else
move
you have
on,
to say?
my favorite part of this She-Hulk review, my smile count is now at 10 with 7 episodes done, and my laugh count remains at 2. Good job,
Um,
Hamidi.
my laugh count is at 0 still. It's hard to make me laugh out loud. So if it has to be like an amazing comedy film, or like some dark humor I really like, or just or like one of my favorite personal comedians and stuff like that. But even and usually I get at least one laugh out loud per something. But yeah, no, this was just and then my smile count was I would say it's at 3.
Oh my.
And
We
all
see.
3 of those, and the
Quality.
only yes, and the only reason 3 of those, there's even 3 of those, was because of A1, and B because my back was hurting, so I took some opioids, and when you take some opioids, it makes everything happier. So even when watching shitty She-Hulk, it made me a happier smile bit. Those were all 3 of the laughs I got there from that. So if it's not for that, I probably would have got 0 still. Just no. Okay. Oh.
Magic! Anything else to add
Oh.
before we move to enemy?
Nope. So Enemy, I am really curious to know what you think, because also right now I thought this was a great film. But it is a very confusing film, so I don't know if you watched like the videos explaining it, but yeah.
I will be honest. After watching, I was kind of done with it. Usually, when I really enjoy something a lot and I want to understand more, I do research videos regarding that. The only case where I didn't do that was with Arrival, because I feel like Arrival, I had a good understanding of the entire movie, and I was like, what's the point of searching to understand? Even if I liked Arrival a lot, that wasn't really the case here. However, I will say one thing. My only issue was the pacing. Even if it's 1 hour and a half, I feel like you could cut time even there. And I feel like
Hmm.
they wanted to hit that mark because they wanted this to be considered a movie and not like a short video or something like that. That's all I felt throughout the entire movie. That's really the only really issue I had, but this issue did reflect a lot in the final score I gave, because I'm like, yeah, other movies I've seen after you recommend these were much better. So pacing was really the only big issue for me. And considering that was 1 hour and a half and pacing is an issue, that kind of bothered me, But hey,
Yeah.
let's remain positive because there's a lot of positive. I did like a lot of stuff about this
Yeah.
movie. I
Yeah. Well, I will explain like some things that kind of like happen, but
Yeah.
basically, the best way to describe it is like Adam and Anthony are it's sort of like two different consciousnesses, or however you describe it. Like one's like the more like aggressive, and then the other is like more calm and kind of like fight in between.
Yeah.
which one he is. That so that kind of explains that. But yeah, they're kind of also different people to an extent. But that's very confusing. So with the you probably were confused about like the spider stuff.
Yeah, what's up with that? Did
Well,
he was on drug or something?
yeah, well, okay, how do I explain? It's like the spider. Okay, so the spider kind of like it's based off of like there are statues that are actually in like tarantula statues that are in Toronto. It's based off of like this tale, like a War of the Worlds or whatnot. Uh, it's so the basically it's sort of like a it's kind of hard to explain when you haven't seen this film in a while. Honestly, actually, just like go ahead and say your positives and negatives because
Yeah, my
I'll
negative was
spend a little
said.
time like researching
As I
this.
said, the pacing was my only negative, and it's really, really tarnished a lot this movie. And usually, when I only have one negative, I usually give a good note. But the pacing was really like lots of things could be trimmed down in this movie. Sorry about that.
Okay, so basically, the spiders kind of like represent an idea of order and chaos. It's
Okay,
basically like again, it's there's statues of it in Toronto. It's a sort of like a lore metaphors. It exists as a metaphor in the film for commitment and the inevitable complications that occur if they're messed with, sort of like in a relationship. Um,
that's
so that's sort of like
interesting.
but so by like the end of the film, like again, like the whole film plays out in the climax of him like finally accepting like not going out, not cheating or anything, like accepting, his marriage and as a husband, and then the other side, shows the other way around
Yeah,
with the car crash. But then at the very end, though, he then looks at that one thing and then says, "I'm gonna go out." So he didn't learn his lesson. He fell right back down the same path, and then he walks in the room, and then there was that jump scare. And if you look, then yeah, the spider is it's afraid, and yeah, so it's basically a metaphor of his wife right there, like because again, it's a metaphor for commitment. So
yeah,
it sees that he's gonna go out and like cheat again, and he's like kind of like spider killer,
yeah,
marriage killer. So that's the metaphor of it. Kind of, it's hard to explain, but I
yeah.
hope you got like some of that. But yeah, it's a very confusing film. But that's sort of like what the metaphors with the spiders are, and kind of like what the film is about. Just like the two consciousness of like a relationship there and commitment.
Yeah. So I think that was interesting to see. Now it's out of order, I know, but I will speak about how they like how the main character basically doesn't recognize his wife. And that was interesting because at some point she's like, "Why don't you go in bed and stuff?" So I'm like, and that's very interesting because here you can tell the guy is like he doesn't understand what's going on at that point in the movie at least, and she doesn't understand what's wrong with him as well. She's like, "What do you have? Who are you today?" And that was interesting. That part of it, the fact that he played two character was very interesting. I liked it a lot. I think both classroom scene were very interesting. The girlfriend and the wife were also interesting. I think everyone was very likable in this movie, and there's a lot of mystery at first because you're like, is it a brother or is it a split personality? And at the end, it's a split personality, and I think it was well done, and the way they did it was really, really good. Um, when they met in the hotel room, that was interesting. Um, yeah, the park scene where he doesn't recognize that it's his wife, and he goes at work after that. That was unique.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, that's interesting because it's like a fake seed to tell you he never has seen his wife or he never have seen that girl, you know. But at the end, it's his wife, and he just has that split personality, and one doesn't know what the other is up to. Um, and he's also a very clever character based on his interaction with others, his speech in class, and sometimes like in movies and TV shows when you have a classroom scene, they just throw stuff at the wall because they're like, it's a classroom, you need to look smart, but it's not always that smart what they say. But I think it was smart what they were saying in that classroom there.
Yeah.
Um, the whole mystery of what was going on was my favorite part of it. But then you learn he doesn't have a brother, so the whole mystery fades away. It was so good, but you're like, okay, parts of the appeal is gone now, and there's like 40 minutes remaining to the movie. What will happen next? I already know what's going on with him. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was too soon when they basically told you, yeah, you have no brother. Because part of the fun was the mystery, I think, for me at least.
Yeah.
Anything else to add? I don't have that much to say because, to be honest, it's 1 hour and a half, and I've seen it
Mm.
like tonight, but I don't have much to say because I don't have much to say. You know, when I really like a lot of movie like Arrival, I can go on and on and on. You know.
And you see, this is why I saved this for one of the last, because again, well, it's a well-made film and everything, and I enjoyed it. Like, it's confusing, and also there isn't too much to say. It's pretty short, and it's like it's a pretty basic story and everything. Like, you got everything from it. It's just like, yeah, the mystery there. The two lookalikes, some metaphors, and some good acting. That's about it. It's
The
like there isn't
actors
too
are
much,
doing
like,
great. The actors
yeah,
are great. I think they will well casted. The camera work as usual is great, but
yeah.
that's something that is normal with you, you know. So I didn't speak about it because
It was
it's
great.
normal.
It was great to watch this Jake Gyllenhaal play himself 2 times.
Yeah, I think
Pretty
that was
great.
clearly my favorite part of it. The two character and the mystery that these work well for me. Um, so yeah. What would be your grade?
It'd probably be an 8 out of 10. Yeah, this is probably my second. Okay, then this isn't to like excellent film. I love it, but yeah, I mean compared to his other films though that are like all amazing in my opinion. Besides Sicario, which I do think is some weaknesses, where I'd give like a 7.5. Yeah, this is but the second weakest, but that isn't like a flaw at all. That's just how good films he's made so far. But yeah, I mean out of the mainstream ones, so yeah, like it's again this just wasn't much to like describe. Like when we get to Blade Runner, which I also saved for last because I know you're not like hugest sci-fi fan possible when it comes, unless certain things like, and not say you aren't, but just stuff like Blade Runner, those sci-fis I feel like it might not be as into. So
Yeah. Well, sci-fi depends how it's done. I think
yeah.
the biggest example I got in mind when I think of sci-fi, I think of now right now I have a brain fart. Sci-fi Agents of Shield. That was very sci-fi-ish, especially by the end. I
Hmm.
think it felt much more like sci-fi than superhero. Even at the start, it felt much more like sci-fi than superhero very early in the show. Or Halo. Halo is very sci-fi. It's just handled by a stupid writer. I still enjoy part of it, but I mean, it's handled by stupid writers, so what else can you expect? Like, in movies, Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, the time loop, that was a good movie. I liked it. I remember seeing it many years ago, and I liked it, man. I like many sci-fi movie. I Robots many years ago, like 15 years ago, 10 years ago, can't remember. Do you know iRobot? You know iRobot, do you?
Hi
With Will
Robot.
Smith, the
You mean
robot that
the
basically take over the
oh,
world.
I Robot? Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I mean there were parts I liked of that. Uh,
Then they did a
but,
second one that should not exist, but hey.
yeah, I mean the the visual effects in that film are kind of like charming, honestly. Yeah.
So, here that was a really weird case. I also liked Arrival a lot. That's sci-fi. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I'm very interested by sci-fi when it's well done. It's always great to see a universe
Mhm.
building and stuff like that. Um, Now, as I said, this movie was a weird one to me. I liked it more than Incendie, and because of that, I was like, I cannot give it the same grade because I think the fact that this movie is shorter.
Yeah, yeah. Well. I will say, I don't know if you liked it more than Insandi, but there
I did.
were you did. I mean, you did remove like a whole point because of the subtitles and stuff. So
Yeah,
maybe if you put that point back, it might be a higher rating, but you'll
yeah.
see. But I mean, yeah, I believe you gave Insondi's like a 7, so I mean around a 7.5. Maybe.
Exactly. Um, Enemy is 7.5, and I think I would place this one below Dune and Sicario. I do think Sicario and Dune were much better,
Mhm.
because they both had more issues, but I still feel like these issues they had didn't affect that much my enjoyment, and I see myself maybe rewatching Sicario in the future. Maybe
Yeah.
not Dune because actually maybe Dune, but I will just skip the last arc, the last act, the end, like the last half an hour, 40 minutes. But
Mhm.
yeah, here I think what helped a lot this movie is the time. Like it was shorter than Incendie, and even the subtitle. Even if I took away points from that, I also took away points from pacing. And in Incendie case, it was a 2 hour movie, so that's an extra half an hour. Even if it's like an hour of pacing, I would take away and end up with 1 hour movie. Right now, it's only half an hour. So it's less time that feel wasted. You know what I mean? It's not
True.
wasted, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
you know what I
yeah.
mean.
With the pacing with Insandi, I mean, I really like those slow burn films myself. So for
Yeah.
me, it was my cup of tea. But again, for people who don't as much, like, yeah, I can definitely see the pacing there. But I actually agree with the pacing in like Emmy though, like your complaint there. Like, I actually really there was a lot of like scenes where it's like, yeah, they could have cut shorter, but they really wanted to like, try to get
1 hour and a half. Yeah.
but also try to get like that like creepy or like how do I say dreadful uh feel to it, but I don't know if it really worked. Oh, I think it's kind of just I don't know, but
I
yeah,
nitpick to
I can.
nitpick maybe, but that's my experience with the movie. Anything else to
Oh yeah.
add?
No, that's about it. But I mean, yeah, this is
Next week,
uh
Blade Runner.
so basically what we're gonna do here is again he only did one of them. It's Blade Runner 2049, which is a sequel like 40 years later to the original Blade Runner. So what we're gonna do is yeah, I'm just gonna type it in the chat there. It's yeah, Blade Runner 2049. What we're gonna do is we're gonna watch the original Blade Runner by I believe it was Ridley Scott who did it. Did he? Um, yeah, it was Ridley Scott. Now it's considered one of the best sci-fi films of all time. A lot of people say it's the best, but I mean, it could just be what it did for its time instead of like being that amazing as the film itself. So we'll see what you think. But yeah, so we're gonna watch that both those. Of course, the first one first, and
Yeah.
then Denis Villeneuve's 40 year later sequel to it, which a lot of people praise as amazing or even a masterpiece as well. So apparently, so we'll see. But I have a feeling though, like just with what you're into, you might not be as into these films, so that's why I saved them last. But we'll see. But yeah, we'll watch them both this week, and then I'll be able to finish Gotham this way, and we can review that, and then we can
That's
review
good.
the Stargirl and She-Hulk episodes. So yeah.
Yeah. Gotham, I'm about to finish season 2. The first
Ooh.
half of season 2 of Gotham was really, really good. But the second half is so rough, man. It's so sad. They're like, they had the formula for the first half, but then they wrote everything. Why? Why? Why did you do
Ah,
it?
God.
But even there are some good things in the second half of season 2. But hey, cannot wait to speak about that with you. So where are you in right now with season 1?
I'm like halfway through right now.
That's good.
Uh,
So I will tell
yeah.
you this: season 2 feels different because there are two big story arcs, and it feels like a series instead of like weekly villain or weekly investigation. It's much more linked, and that's why I like much more season 2. But yeah, I don't know if you're into like more serialized and like more linked together episode, But
Uh,
that's what you get with season 2.
it depends, kind of, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Um, Bleach, did you start it?
Again, no. I'll see if I eventually have the time, but yeah, very busy with the other films, but yeah, hopefully I'll have enough time, soon to, uh,
To start?
uh,
Okay.
I'm hoping I do, but yeah.
So, um, Stargirl episode 4. You can start and go ahead with what you think of episode 4.
Oh, episode 4, yes, okay, so once again, you might need to explain some things to me as my
Yeah,
memory when it comes to like TV episodes like this isn't the best. But yeah, I enjoyed it though, and I'm glad we got more. With what's the guy's name? The ice guy again. His first name. What's
Cameron.
his name again? Right. Yeah. Again, I'm also bad with names, but
Cameron.
yeah, I'm glad we got more. That's exactly what I wanted. More of that. Yeah, it definitely feels like they're going the villain route.
Yeah.
I forgot what he. It definitely, I feel like my my father died or something like that. But I know he died, saving people and stuff like that. And then it'll probably be revealed that he like died fighting one of the heroes or something. I bet, but whatever. Yeah, and then yeah, we got more of the what was it again? Yeah, we got to the reveal of like the Starman, with the cow basically kind of like regenerates him. The maps thing sort of his his life or power kind of.
Yeah.
um so I mean, what did you think of that part, like
That
that
was.
reveal?
I liked the explanation on how he got back to life and brought back to life, I should say. And something was very interesting as a team with this episode, especially. But I think it's a team for like the entire season so far. But I do think there was much more emphasis on it with this episode. It's about moving on, changing,
Mhm.
evolving. And this is very interesting. I like the way they do it. Like, especially with parallels. Sylvester still wants to be Starman, while Sportmaster and Tigress both struggle, but they try their best to put that aside and be better for the daughter's sake. And Sylvester with this episode, and last week as well, but this episode really made Sylvester very likable. He was a jerk. He was a jerk. But this week,
Yeah.
he was brought to another level. And I think Sylvester and Pat Scene are golden all the time. Sportmaster with the beers, man. Sportmaster bringing the beers and chilling with the boys in the basement. I liked it so much. Or Tigress and Barbara, the mothers. The mothers. Oh my, that episode was emotional, and it did lift me a lot. Like I've seen it today to have it fresh in my mind. Um, I like how they use Doctor Midnighter. The crime scenes when they realize the dragon may be part of it was interesting. I did like Courtney and Cameron exchange, especially one part of the exchange where Cameron is like asking to Courtney, "Why are you not scared?" And then he responds to himself and says, "Maybe it's too dangerous for you to tell." So at that point, I'm like, "That's clever writing." Maybe Cameron is more mature than a normal teenager. Do you know what I mean? And I think if they use well that seed, that can turn out to be a great tree. But here again, just like what you said, he may take the villain route because of his grandparents. And it's really sad because this leads to my only issue with this episode: lies. Because lies will be the trigger for Cameron to say, "You know what, Courtney? You're my enemy." And that bothers me so much. If they do this lazy way of writing, this will be ruining. This will ruin the experience for me, I think. It's lazy. I don't like lies being used this way. I say that, but in season 2 we had a similar story with lies, but I think it was handled well. But here I feel like if they bring lies into the mix and lies turn someone villain, that'll give me like Supergirl vibes, and that's not a good thing. um, yeah, I think the hospital scenes were great. You can really feel sorry for Sylvester, and Pat, as amazing as usual. I'm having a blast this season. What do you think?
Sorry, my mic was muted. God damn it. But yeah, yeah. Again, really enjoyed it. But there was the one thing I forgot. What was I? Oh yeah, right. I was just wondering. I think I forgot like the reason why like the one character, like at the end where they teased like with her, in the lab, that was her like what's the reason again for her like getting that, or
Getting
with
what?
like the skin or whatnot,
Oh, the skin.
their skin. Yeah.
Uh,
You explain again because I think I forgot
I
the
think
cause of that.
I think Yolanda explained it in one of the chats either this week or last week, or I should say episode 4 or 3. I can't remember exactly the word, but I remember the message behind it. Yolanda was basically telling to Courtney, Cindy's just like her father. She likes chemicals and she is power hungry, and she will turn herself into a monster if that can give her like some kind of pleasure or fun, or if she can get some fun out of it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, yeah,
so
thanks for
so
explaining.
yeah, that was either this episode or the previous one. Yolanda was basically telling, yeah, Courtney, don't trust her. Like she is just like her father. Um, so that's why she does experiment, and I think at the end Cindy is still not really happy with what's going on in her life, and I think like using this chemical will maybe fix that, or she will think that will fix her. That's my guess here. She thinks she will be fixed if she change into something else. But here again, maybe it will backfire on her. I feel like that experiment will backfire. There's no way nothing happens to her after she injects herself or after she tries some shenanigans like that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, that makes sense, I guess, but okay. I was just confused there, but, okay,
Sport Master, man.
oh yeah.
He is great. I think
Yeah,
pretty much
I
everyone is
agree.
doing great.
But yeah.
And what I would like to see is Starman not um like Starman basically becoming strong enough so he doesn't need the staff anymore. So it's not really like a tool he needs. So the staff will belong fully to Courtney. Do you know what I mean? Like if Starman is able to basically change into something else and have powers of his own, that would mean it is different than Courtney. Because I feel like having two characters with like the same power set, it's kind of lame.
Mhm.
So I really want him to embrace that to the end. But here again, that's me speaking
Yeah.
and thinking a lot. Um, Anything else to add before we move to the grades of the episode?
No, that's about it. I thought it was also kind of like enemy. There wasn't much for me to say this episode. Like, I spent like a lot of time, honestly, with like kind of the same. Like, I'd say the scenes in this were like fewer different like scenes in this episode. They, that were just went on for longer. At least what I got from it. I mean, have we actually seen Starman like put on the costume again yet, or no?
I don't think so, but I think the first scene, because based on the trailer, because I've watched the trailer for next episode and it's like a 20 second segment, looks like they will pick up right after the cliffhanger, and Starman looks like he's in his costume. So I think he will be out with the kids, and Courtney is not around, so she's probably still with Cameron. And I'm really scared about that Cameron storyline because I really want the best for Cameron. Like I'm fine if they make him a good villain, but I feel like that's the easy way, and that may also clash with the idea of moving on and like um, not judging people too fast, if you know what I mean. Because one of Sylvester's biggest sins so far was judging everyone too fast. And look what happened. He destroyed a grocery store, he made Shade running away, he made everything worse. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you just say, oh yeah, Courtney will be scared of Cameron because Cameron father, that will also contradict Courtney hopeful aspect of herself. I really want her to like see the best in Cameron and to reflect that in their relationship. I'm not into shipping. I don't care about relationship, but in this case, I think it matters a lot because Courtney is something positive about Cameron. And if you look back to season one, Jordan, Cameron father, Icicle, uh, his his wife was pretty negative. She was exactly like him, and she was like, make them pay on her deathbed. So
Mhm.
like we see like some kind of mirror, some kind of reverse situation with Courtney. Courtney is more of a positive, and she's not really scared of Icicle Juniors. She just want like the best for Cameron, but she doesn't know how to deal with that, and that's very interesting. Like as I said, usually I'm not into shipping. I don't care about relationship. I also think relationship most of the time they can hurt the show.
Well, I mean, I hope this works because, yeah, so he doesn't turn evil. That's all.
Yeah, or
That's what I hope, but we'll see.
and arts was a positive force in his life, and now it's out of the window. So like they leave the window open for him to like turn evil, and that aspect is fine. I'm fine with it, but I don't really want that to like be the entire plot for Cameron because it just feels lazy. That's just how I feel with Cameron because like if Sportmaster and Tigress can change, why Cameron can't? You know, like Courtney is so far has been a positive force for Cameron, and it's just sad that lies, if they don't fix that fast, may mess up everything. It's just very lazy, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Like, what could be great is she comes clean with it before that bites her, but because she comes clean with it, that could create some kind of conflict because she comes clean with it. You know what I mean? That's more interesting than, oh, someone else told me. Why not you? You know? And I feel like the scene where it was wondering and asking why she's not scared, that should be the scene where she tells everything. That would have felt natural, but she's scared, obviously, but she doesn't want it to be reflected. But yeah, she sees the best in everyone. She defends Cindy. Why can't she give more benefit of the doubt to Cameron?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think this week it was a really strong episode for me, despite the lies aspect. I like this episode more than episode 3 because of the team. I think it's in the middle actually with this season because the first two episodes were a blast. This one as well, but this one is a bit weaker. I think this episode, for me at least, 9.7 out of 10. And here again, my only really big issue is the lie. And even there, um, it's still very good for me. What is your grade?
Uh, I'd give it an 8.5, but yeah,
Well, I didn't hear it.
8.5. Sorry.
Oh, that's good. I think that's the lowest. So for you, it's your least favorite so far.
Yeah, I'd give another as 8.5s. It's a tie for one. I
Okay.
wouldn't say one of the lowest as like a bad thing. They're all, you know, I would say I like them all. I just, yeah, I mean, they're not as amazing as this wasn't as amazing. Actually, I'm gonna give it actually I'll up it to a 9. Actually, the more I think about it, there were some. I think there were some important scenes in this that they left off.
And I also think the grandparents are kind of funny. And for once, the subtitle,
Mhm.
I'm fine with this because they don't want him to understand what they are saying. And this is very interesting because it's funny. It's like, yeah, we will use him to kill our enemies. And I also find that very sad for Cameron. He's just a good boy that may be used by everyone at the end, and it's kind of sad. Um, yeah, the more I see stuff, the more I think Sportmaster will die, um, or Tigress, for sure. Now I think it's obvious at some point one of the two will die, but I think Sportmaster is the most likely to die in the two because Tigress is like
Mhm.
the only
Probably.
friend Barbara has, and I think she's the only one to really share scenes with Barbara. So Like Pat is linked to the GSA, he's linked to Courtney, he's linked to pretty much everyone. So Sport Master being linked to Pat doesn't matter that much, but Barbara, she's like isolated in her corner. So what could also happen is maybe they use Tigress death as a driving force for Barbara's storyline. But even there, I feel like Sport Master will affect much more the story overall. Or maybe if they kill off Tigress, that will drive Sport Master back to his old ways. Um,
Mhm.
Man, that season is a blast. I enjoy so much my time. Cannot wait for next week, man. Or actually, this week.
Uh, oh yeah, true.
Episode number 5, Wednesday, the same day as She-Hulk.
Well, I
Oh,
hope it's even better than this with the break, but we'll see.
yeah. By the way, have you watched the 10-minute clip? I told you. Well, it's
Yeah, I was gonna mention that when you brought up that one anti-SAW channel.
yeah,
I did not, sadly, yet, but I'll try to remember after the stream. If I'll promise I'll definitely watch it for sure, though. Even if I forget a bunch of times, at worst, I'll watch it like on the last week of She-Hulk. That'll be good timing. To finish it all. Uh,
it's much more funny than the show. It's not that
I
bad.
mean, wouldn't surprise me. But again, even the worst of the SJW channels on a lot of stuff, like fucking some of those members of Geeks and Gamers, they made videos that are the odd video every like once in a blue moon that are more high IQ and funny than anything in She-Hulk, which is just sad. Uh,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Next week, Blade Runner. Cannot wait for that. And yeah, cannot wait for our future anime slash manga podcast in the future. So basically, what I was thinking is once you're done with the first season of Bleach, at least we could start off officially like the first podcast, and we could also cover like one or two animation movie in the same podcast. So like we sandwich Bleach between two movie of animation because I'm pretty sure you have seen many animation movies. Did you?
uh, yeah, I say a lot of animation films, so yeah, we can. We'll see. Which day would you want to do it on?
Um,
Wednesdays?
Tuesday could be great,
Or
or
okay, yeah, Tuesday actually works at the same time. Sure.
not the same time. Actually, Tuesday. Are you available earlier on Tuesday, like 2 p.m. Pacific
Uh,
time, or no
I,
more?
I don't know. Like I could make it like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. maybe.
Maybe 4 p.m. Pacific time, so this would mean
Yeah.
7 p.m. my
I
time.
mean, it would be like shorter episodes probably than this,
Yeah,
since there would
yeah,
probably be less topics. So
yeah,
yeah, it would be like just a bit of news and then the show and film. So
yeah.
yeah, right. So yeah, that sounds good.
And as I said,
Well,
since RedBlue Podcast is like priority and my favorite one, that's like the top one we will have weekly if you're still fine with it.
mm,
And the Black White, basically the manga slash anime. As I said, it would be 2 or 3 weeks. Like, for example, we start, I don't know, October 12th. Then the next one would be like 26th or the week
yeah,
after that, if you know what I mean.
yeah, all of the people screaming racism in Hollywood films, and in reality, it's really the Japanese anime that's pretty racist, honestly.
Yeah, they are
But
all
that's the funny
white.
part.
It's rare having a black character in anime.
Yeah, and they still don't let the poor black voice actors in Japan voice them. It's hilarious. Oh, and there's so much blackface, and oh my god, whatever. It's like seriously, it's like I just like
again, I wasn't expecting like there to be many at all, but I literally was just trying to search for even just one, a single black actor or actress in South Korea or Japan, just literally one who has been in a noteworthy film as a lead or a supporting character. Just one in their entire career. I literally couldn't find one. One. No, at most there was like this there has been a no the most I ever found was there's this one guy who like has 5 minute cameos in some low budget Japanese films, and he mostly does like car commercials and stuff. That's it, and he's the most popular Japanese first actor. It's like
Poor guy.
how I wasn't expecting much, but really, there's not even one. And of course, there's the odd like Indian and stuff and all that, and white person because like what because they're connection with the West, and then India is same as like Asia, so. Yeah, but I tried looking for just any like Hispanics or African Americans. There were zero. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was at least expecting to find fucking one, at least one at any point in history, but nope. Jesus Christ. I mean, it did lead me to like an idea though, but and if I ever did start film it, doing films, I did have an idea for some like Japanese or South Korean subtitle films I wanted to attempt. And since I'm kind of trying to learn South Korean right now, and I did have the idea of like casting an African American actor in like a certain role, like because I always I did research on that. And I found it kind of interesting, just like the history of like blackface and stuff in Japan, and how they were kind of like pretty discriminated because like nobody in the West really knows about how fucking serious it was. But like they would always just get turned down every single time, saying you're not Japanese enough, even if you're born in even though they're born in Japan. It gave me an idea to do like a film kind of based off of that with like a character. So yeah,
That's good. That's
I mean, did,
interesting.
did, did you have any film ideas yourself?
To be honest, not really. I'm
Hmm.
I'm more into like critique stuff and gaming, a lot of gaming
Oh well, I mean,
because
I do have an idea for a game thing as well. Making some esports films, trying to revolutionize that with some filming techniques, and then also, yeah, I had idea for like a film that's kind of like an opioid addiction film.
that's
That's also
cool.
that's sort of like a parody of like Hell's Kitchen, sort of. Like sort of like a
Hell's
contestant on
Kitchen.
there who yeah, it's like shows the dangerous of like reality TV shows like that. A contestant that just like goes on there, gets absolutely flamed, and then like goes down a path like that, like because it based off of like a true story that actually happened with somebody in real life. So yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you should try doing that though in your free time, like trying to write like film screenplays in your free time because you
I'm
never know,
doing rap. I'm doing French rap.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I did many projects. I'm
You
and
see, you can make a film out of that. You could.
maybe.
Yeah. You could. You could just make a French rap, like obviously, like some sort of story, but like the character is like a French rapper, write,
8 Miles
original
number
songs
two.
for it. Yeah, actually, so like a French Canadian 8 Miles, but different story and stuff. Like, it could
Eight
actually work.
glasses.
And
Because
maybe
I
like a
got
different,
glasses.
yeah, like a different time period, maybe like the 1960s or something. Yeah, in Quebec or something or France. Yeah.
In Quebec, there was no rap by that time. They
Ah,
started early 2000. Uh,
early 2000s. Yeah, so
actually,
that's the time period.
I think yeah, like 1995. I think the first big uh, French Quebecer uh, rap group started in '95,
We
and then
can
a
make a
few.
film based on them. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
see, a lot of
Interesting
great ideas.
idea. Nice brainstorming.
Yeah.
I think I will work out on my next project actually. Next project. So Any closing thoughts or anything else to add before we end this?
No, that's about it. Yeah, it was great. Show again. Yeah, I mean the film in this episode of Stargirl, there wasn't. It was a little more chill this time, so there wasn't as much in-depth talk as before. But as surprisingly more in-depth talk with She-Hulk this time, which was the opposite on every other stream. But yeah, there'll definitely be a lot of talk with the Blade Runner films.
Well,
Again,
last
your
week we
opinion on that.
actually went deep into She-Hulk as well, even if it was a dumpster fire.
Oh, true. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, I'll have Gotham finished up for next stream. I should
Yeah,
definitely.
that sounds great. And I think by that time, I will be over with season 2 and I will be half done with 3.
Yeah.
I
Oh
watch much
God.
more faster because I have more time. Um, Man, as usual, I
Just
have a
I just
blast.
spend it on films most of the time.
Yeah, that's why I got more time because I don't watch that many movie. Um, I have a blast, man. You're a great co-host. These streams are amazing. They make my week, man. I'm telling you. Thank you again, and I'm very excited about that anime manga project. We will start once you're done with Bleach first season. That will be great.
Yeah,
Um,
and be sure to again, cancel it if something popped up like today, I guess. But yeah, next week or something, be sure to remind film, if he wants to come on this, starts up right after his ends, at around 9 p.m. Pacific, so
yeah,
on Mondays, so sure to
yeah,
remind him if he, open to coming on.
yeah,
Or Tuesdays, it'd be different topics since he probably doesn't watch Gotham or She-Hulk or
yeah. That could be
watch any of that
interesting.
shit.
He doesn't watch She-Hulk. I'm not surprised.
He kind of quit all this MCU shit. He was done. He was
I'm
so
not
done with
surprised. I know. I'm not surprised.
it.
Look, I'm a critique in my soul. That's why I watch. And I also watch because I like helping writers and being critical to what we get is helping them. Because if nobody critiques anything, well, nothing improve, and we just get the same thing, same flaws, boring writing. That's how it goes in general. So, any closing thoughts?
Nope, that's about it. Yeah, so great stream again. I'll see you next week.
Yeah,
See you later.
thank you very much. Have a good night. Take care, man.